Zero. Welcome back to your channel. My name is Brad, and this is SuperCoach Pro. And this is Steve from SDS SuperCoach. How you going, mate?
Yeah, g'day, Brad. How you going? Long time no speak.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, absolutely. So today's video, we are doing my team and just getting your player reaction. I think you'll be surprised about a few. We won't delve into them for too long. So it's just sort of essentially a team picker update. But SuperCoach officially open. So let's get it started. First pick, the man, the myth, the legend. What do
Yep. Yeah, I love it, mate. Yeah, Tom Stewart. I think he's my D1 so far. I think he's just a bloke that kills you if you don't have in your team. So I love the pick.
Well, you're going to love this next one even more. I suppose our talking throughout the season does help. Number two is your man.
Angus Brayshaw. Wow, yeah, I like that a lot. I've been big on him from the very start. I absolutely love his prospects for next year. If he can just keep training with the midfield and just keep a consistent role, I think his best position is midfield. So hopefully he can stay there, mate.
Yeah, I'm hoping the same. After that conversation we had with the kick, I sort of looked at his stats in the last half of the year, thought, yeah, let's take a punt. If he doesn't sort of go well, I'll probably go down to Dacos. But I just think Brayshaw's 27 this year, so he's got more experience than Dacos. And Brayshaw at least won't cop a tag.
Yeah, for sure.
My next pick, I should just type it in.
Yeah, top it.
I never do, so I'm sort of like, oh yeah, how do you do this again? Is actually Yo as D3, yeah.
Yeah, Elliot Yo, very nice pick. I've got him in my team as well, and I just think if he can just stay on the park, as we said in my video, we just need him healthy for the 8 or 9 games of the season. We don't care about after that because we won't rely on him being healthy for the whole season. But if Yo can just stay healthy, he's got a ripper. He's got a ripper history of Supercoach scoring. So at that price, if he can stay healthy, it's a bargain.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to go too deep this season for 600k defenders. My strategy this year, so I think I'll only go maybe two deep, and then hopefully just a mid pricer. And if Yo gets injured, I'm probably going to go sideways to Salem. I'm hot on actually as well.
Yeah, I like that.
So my next one is Goat Man, Josh
Oh
Goat.
yeah.
Yeah, he played that one game for that 70 last year, so he's he's a little bit light playing rookies, but I think if we're picking second year players or third, fourth year sort of players or high draft pick players, they'll still get enough game time to warrant a selection in their best 22.
Well, we can see there as well, 21% owned. There are quite a few people interested in the prospects of this man for 2023. He did play one game and scored a 70. His competition isn't exactly, set in stone. Aaron Hall I mean, if he's playing, he's set in stone, but we just can't trust him with injuries. But I think Goat, if he can just stay healthy, sorry, not for him, but if he can just crack into that side, then I think he's going to be a good rookie for us, mate.
Yeah, so do I. I think like a lot of these rookies down back. I mean, even Cole's 182 that I've been considering, but the next one, this one
Hmm.
I thought was funny. The team's pretty similar at this stage. I've heard a few good things about this man again. So yeah, Ginby is one, and just the price around him. Also, there's Hamling and McKenna elsewhere as well. So I like this pick at D5.
Yeah, Ginby's a great option. I think he's gonna be a real solid rookie for us. West Coast are sort of transitioning a bit so far, so I think we're going to be seeing a lot of games into Ruben Ginby and be a very solid rookie for us.
Yeah, and McGovern's happy with him apparently. So it's always good when players
Lovely.
out the new recruits. McConnor's D6. I think he's probably everyone's D5 or D6. I just think he's a solid option. And yeah, what do you think of that one?
Yeah, he's solidified into that best 22 in my opinion, and I just think he's a really solid D5, D6 option. D4 if you're going really light, but I think he's just a must-have in any Supercoach side, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. And the next man is your mate Weddle. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Josh Weddle.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, he's my bench. And then following that is Darcy Wilmot. And like there's any of these rookies, they're subject to change. If they're not best 22, we'll find someone that is on that sort of price range anyway.
Yeah, spot on, mate. We just want to pick rookies that are going to play round one.
Absolutely. And I'm going for Clary as my M1 this year as well. I just think he's a solid captain option. He's too highly owned at this point as well to not go with him. I don't want it to be an anti-pod, so that's a big thing, but I like his captain option, especially against Adelaide games.
Yeah, that's another big reason for Clary. He plays Adelaide early. He plays that Magic round, of course. Last time we chatted, you had Rory Laird at M1. Is that right?
I did. I've sort of been thrown off him. I don't know why. I think it's more money. I couldn't afford him this time around. You'll see why in a second.
Yeah, he's bloody tough to get to at this point in time.
My next one, who I'm a little bit worried about the tag, but for captaincy options, is actually Neil. I think he's going to be a bit of a pod this season, and I'm not sold on him at this stage. But once you see the structure, you'll sort of see where I'm coming from. What do you think of Neil at this point? You there?
Oh, yeah. So with Lockie Neal, I actually do really like the pick. I do like the tactic of spinning up a bit because the midfield's the one line that you don't want to mess up. So I like the Lockie Neal pick as a pod, and we've seen him in the past break tag. So I like the pick, mate.
Yeah, no worries. I don't know what happened there, but for some reason my screen glitched and I wasn't sure what's going on. M3 is Took. I watched him a lot last year. He was always pretty solid. He does go missing here and there for 5-10 minutes of the game, which is really weird. I don't know why he does it. But yeah, I think he's just a solid captain option. I remember he got a lot of 130s last year, and he's one of those blokes, even if he has a slow start, he can always go back up to the 110 by the game's end anyway.
Yeah, I like how big you're going in the midfield, mate. Just locking in all these absolute guns. All these blokes I do expect to finish definitely top 8. So I really do like all these picks. And yeah, Took, I'd love to get to Took, but just a little bit out of my price range at the minute.
Yeah, he is a bit pricey. I'm still not sold on some of these premiums, but Bont is one of them that I am this season. At his price, like you said, he's been injured in the last season. A couple players out of that side. I just think he gets more mid-time and not so much forward this year as what he has been in previous years. So I think he's even got room to improve and get to 125, 130 like. So what do you think of Bont this year?
Yeah, I like him as well. He's no Dunkley, should be spending a bit more time in the midfield. If he has a fully healthy preseason, I think we'll see an even better version of him, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. Our side is so similar. This is why I was going to try not to laugh too much. And M5 for me is actually green as well.
Yep, I like that. I think he's a real breakout candidate. Could be the Andy Brayshaw of 2023. So I do like Tom Green as a pick. I really like how big you've gone in the midfield, actually. No messing about. I really do like the tactic.
I think midfield is where we get the best captain options. That's why I'm probably going to spend big this season. Even you look how deep I'm going to go with this side. I know everyone's expecting Hopper and whatnot. Obviously he is, but the guy that I pick after Hopper is someone that you're probably going to be quite surprised on. What do you think of Hopper this season, mate?
Yeah, he'll play a lot in the midfield. He's just going to be a fantastic option for us, for sure. Oh, he's gone Sheed.
Yeah.
He's gone Tom Sheed.
I think just I've been sold on a few things reading up on him this season. I mean, you got the likes of Tim Kelly in there, and then it's Sheed. Nick Nat's fit, so Nick Nat's always been a good tap ruckman, so he's going to feed it to Kelly and Sheed all day. I think you can just outperform at least 10, 15 points difference. I reckon you can get to about that 480, 490 mark, get a fallen primo that you think's going to finish hot, like your Zach Merritt types, who does come down in price. And I think he's more of a stepping stone. I'm just not really sold on some of these rookies in the midfield this season. I think we've got more value down back and forward, so that's why I'm topping up on the midfields this season. What do you think of Sheed, mate?
Yeah, I like it. I'll tell you what, I don't think I've seen any side at the minute with Sheed and Hopper. So I find that really interesting, but I do like how much you're banking on this midfield to really carry it throughout the season. And if they all work out, then he's certainly going to be, it's going to be really easy to upgrade that midfield.
I think that's what's hard for me. I'm sick of upgrading to sort of midfielders, say M7 and M8, and they end up being a player that normally finishes, M16, M17 overall. So I sort of want to get the best as quick as I can without losing too much points in the meantime. So I think that's why I'm stacking midfields this season. I'm sick of trying to play catch up too late, really.
Yeah, I like it, mate.
Ashcroft is going to be M8, which is probably a little bit deeper than some sides. But yeah, what do you think of that one?
Yeah, Ashcroft, he's going to play each week. He's going to be one of our only reliable rookies that shouldn't have too much trouble getting dropped or whatnot, and he'll be spending a bit of time off the half forward and midfield would be my guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other one for me is Phillips. So I'll be rotating these guys weekly for my M8 position. And that's the tactic behind bringing him in, because I know they're both going to play lots of games. And if one of them, I think, is going to be injury sub, or sorry, whatever that sub rule is, I'll just play the one that I think will actually run out the game more than the other.
Yeah, and you can always emergency loophole them as well if you really want to early days.
Yeah, absolutely. Another rookie that everyone's been pretty hot on, especially in Freo, they've been talking a lot about him. I think he's a second-year player, is Johnson. Still just a placeholder, but I think he actually in the waffle. Actually, I'm not sure if he was averaging 105, but I think he's actually a decent rookie for us this year as well. I've heard.
Yeah, I like Johnson as a pick. He's really doing really well in pre-season, and I think there's a chance he could play round one.
Yeah, me too. And for DPP's sake, Chesser, I think we'll get games. I'm not sure if he's fully fit right now, but if he's named round one, I sort of like the flexibility. Bring in Goda, and if any of these other sort of players get midfield eligibility like Brayshaw, I always like a good swing at round 6 to be able to be flexible to bring someone in and out, like your side we just went through not long ago.
Yeah, Chester's really interesting. The issue with me at the minute for Chester is he's very slowly getting back into it. He hasn't been at full training at all so far in the preseason. They're really just managing him very easily. But if he can get a game round one, he's going to be very popular. And I mean, he was 48%, so I can see why a lot of people are going for him.
Yeah, and like these bench rookies are pretty subject to change anyway. So
Yeah, exactly.
Is same as your man English. I think he's just going to be up there this year. And I watched him play last year when he was hot. He was really hot, and I think he only played really crap when he actually got injured and knocked out by Bruce and sort of never got his confidence back. So I'm confident this year that he'll have a good enough season and he gets enough possessions around the ground to warrant his selection for his SuperCoach point scoring, because we know he's not the greatest tapman, that's for sure.
Yeah, before that concussion, he was absolutely on fire. And he was just a bloke killing anyone that didn't have him. And I didn't have him at the time. I brought him in. Oh, no, I was going to bring him in, but then he got ruled out the Adelaide game in Ballarat, I think. So, yeah, I think English so far is probably the safest option in the ruck so far. But that's not saying much, because the ruck line's just absolutely filled with a bunch of blokes that we're unsure on.
Yeah, absolutely. And this might surprise you. I don't think we've actually discussed this. My ruckman for R2 is Grundy this year. What do you think of that Grundy move?
Yeah, I think I remember you saying you're quite interested in Grundy. So, yeah, I guess looking at it, it's still a bit surprising. But Gawn's out for a couple of weeks with a hamstring. I just don't really want to lock into two mainstays so far in the ruck. There's so many question marks, but I can understand it. I think if Gawn's a lot more flexible than Grundy, which gives Grundy more of a chance to just be playing ruck. And I just think that's very important. I mean, if he can just play the majority ruck, then I think he's really flying under the radar as a pick.
Well, I think it will be. I think Grundy will get sort of 70-30 split or 60-40 his way, although I'm hoping. But even with that injury to hammy, I think that would sort of more reluctant to start Gawn forward and back just so he gets his hammies right. Maybe in the middle of the season, I might switch it around. But I think early on, Grundy will get more ruck than not. And at his price, I just can't see him really being worse than what he is. So worst case scenario, I've got to pay a little bit up and sideways trade at some point for someone to come down, like a Wits, 100K down. But yeah, my R2 isn't set, but I think it's just a little bit logical for my team structure anyway.
Yeah, I like it, mate.
And I think this is probably the most common one everyone's doing, ruck forward. That's probably going to be my only position where I actually have a loophole this season is R3. I don't like using loopholes in mids or defence or forwards because it always happens to me where one of my players will get a laid out or something, and then my emergency is a guy that I've looped and I get a donut. So ruck's the only position that's safe enough to do it as long as you remember to put the E on, Grundy and get that score there. So that's my idea for only one loop this season.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like early days that there's going to be any playing ruck so far as a rookie pick. So it makes sense with Madden.
Yeah, exactly. And like everyone's F1, I'd be surprised if it's not, is Dunkley this season. I think he's going to have a really good season. Always looks good in the gym. They always put those sort of photos up. Biceps mean nothing. Trust me, I know. So it's
yeah, I'll tell you what, 7 AFL at the minute, the Instagram page, they're absolutely frothing some of these blokes with their big biceps and all that. But yeah, Josh Dunkley, I think he's just the absolute lock. I'd love for anyone to tell me a negative on the pick. So yeah, I think you just got to lock him in.
I'd love to understand the 50% of people that aren't bringing him in. Or sorry, 35% of people that don't have him. Why?
I don't get it. They're banking on him not being any good.
It's all the NPCs out there that we're discussing about it. For my next pick is Taranto. I don't think Taranto or Hopper will leave my side, and if they do, it would be injury, and I'll let you know first up if I do. But yeah, Taranto's F2.
Yeah, very solid pick. I like it. He's absolutely cutting stick in pre-season. Very good pick.
I think for F3, you'll be a bit surprised how scarce my forward line is, but this is the consequence of having a really stacked forward line. Midfield is I'm going Oscar Allen as my F3. It is risky, key forward for West Coast, but I'm banking on him to get 20, 30% ruck hit outs and just average 60 and 70 or thereabouts. What do you think of that one?
No, I actually really like Allen as a pick. If I'm not sold on Flanders, I'm very keen on that Oscar Allen at this stage. I do prefer him over Ben King. Yeah, I do prefer him over Ben King. I just think he, from scoring history, he's better than Ben King at this stage. So he can pinch in the ruck as well. So I actually do like the pick.
Absolutely. I think he'll be pretty solid this season. And I know Easton's best 22, so that's where I'm sold at.
Yeah.
McLean for me is F4. I think he's sort of the Will Brodie pick of this year. I just think he's solid. He's definitely best 22. And yeah, I just like the pick. I reckon he's a potential keeper as well on the forward line. What do you reckon about McLean?
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget about how good he used to be. And if he can just get back into 90% of that form, then he's going to be a real handy cash cow. But he could even be a keeper at the same time, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. My F5's a little bit controversial. So we're not going to go on everything, and this is where our picks are different. So you've gone Josh Bruce. I suppose two different thought processes. I know Ben King's best 22. I think he's got Chol in the forward line. I don't think the other guy, Casbolt, plays this season now that King's back. Just banking on King to get a lot from Took and that midfield. They've got a good midfield, so why can't he bank a few, 4 or 5 games of 80s, 90s, get to 350K real quick and then just get rid of him as fast as they can. So if by round 2 he backfires, I think the big thing about spending up is I can spend down. So if Bruce has gone, 90, 95 back-to-back and King's gone 50-50, then I easily just scroll down and grab Bruce before the price rise. So that's the idea about King for me anyway.
Yeah, he's probably the only pick so far that I disagree with, just because his injury, not his injury history, but his scoring history. He hasn't never really been a very solid scorer. He doesn't really push up. He more sort of sits back in the forward line, so there's not much opportunity for him to get marks up the ground. But I mean, we're not going to agree on everything, and which is a good thing. So, look. If he can just bag a few goals in one game and give you 100, then that could come a long way. I think as well, Gold Coast started the seasons a little bit a little bit tough. There's a couple of good games away from home, but I'm pretty sure from memory it's a little bit of a tough one. But fair enough. If you like Ben King, go for it.
No, they're making top 4 this year for sure, so.
I've got them having a stinker.
Yeah, I do too, actually, to be honest. But I just think, I can't really think of any others that got good job security at that price.
Yeah, fair enough.
And Allison, I think we touched on your video as well. Campbell's gone down in their ruck department. We've heard good things about this guy. So, I think it's just Marshall and him with the hitouts, really. Marshall, actually, even thinking about that, I should probably even put Marshall instead of Grundy, knowing that Campbell's out. But these rookies are just subject to change anyway. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Allison. I think from what I hear, it's going to be Sharman and Allison so far as St Kilda's key forwards for the first 5-6 weeks. So, look, and Marshall as well. There's just so many question marks about what's actually going to happen now with St Kilda in terms of their strategy. Do they really need him to spend a bit more time forward and they play someone like a Max Heath? So it's just a bit up in the air for me, but I do like the Allison pick. I expect him to play early.
Yeah, and another guy I don't really know a lot about. It's just more like Twitter stuff, to be honest. And it's just Jack Paris. I think he is. I can't really see it from there, but he's just a placeholder for me. Have you heard much about this guy yourself?
Nah, first time saying the name.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I can't remember if I read about it. I was like, you know what, stuff. I'll put him in. I'm trying to make some coin for my side. And the other guy scrolling is we've heard a little bit about North. Reckon he's best 22, so he's going in there. What do you think of the side overall there, Steve?
Yeah, I like the side all in all. You did say it was off air. You did say it's actually pretty similar. There's actually quite a few differences in our teams, so I reckon that's pretty good. No, I do like it. I really like how strong you've gone in the midfield because that is certainly the one line you need to nail. And yeah, I like the team. I think you've done a very good job, mate.
Thanks, mate. Well, I think we'll try to leave this one there. We'll do some more videos soon. We'll keep the guys updated. So thanks for your time again. Appreciate it as always. And we'll be back on the next one, Steve.
Yeah, no, sounds good. I'd love to be back on the channel. Cheers, mate.
Beautiful, mate. You have a good one.
You too, mate. Cheers.
Cheers. All right. I think that
All right, well done. Did you stop recording?
I think